All right, Dieter and Hutch, live at night. This is how it's going to be, folks. It's just how it's going to be.
We're back to our roots.
It's too hot during the day. Much like Moose the dog, nothing's happening during the day. I live in the nighttime now. And yeah, a whole different side of Dieter and Hutch. I mean, we'll find out what this is all about. I need to get something off my chest, though, to start the show, Jake.
Go for it. Let's hear it.
What Ryan Warsofsky did tonight for the Sharks was malpractice in the coaching realm. Playing Letty over 85 is just insane. And I'm really looking forward to the Sharks getting back because I got some questions. I got some questions for that man. I felt that they got their ass kicked by Edmonton today, and it wasn't an important game or anything. It's just, in a playoff race and need everything that they can do.
They've got one game in hand at this point, right?
That's a question on how much do they have over the Kraken and then the Kings and the Predators. But like, if they wanted to make a run at Edmonton, who lost Draisaitl today for the rest of the regular season, like this was the day to do it. And Warsofsky is like, hey, check this shit out. Bam! I'm going to throw Nick Leddy, who we cut mid-season, back into the fold, while Muka Madulin, who had been playing pretty good hockey in my estimation, was benched. And when he was asked about it, he said, "I don't have to explain it, buddy. I'll see you before the Buffalo game." I don't have to explain it. That makes it sound like you don't know what you're doing, which, you might not. I do think the 49ers might know what they're doing, though, Jake. An incredible transition.
They have been – it's rare. I have, aside from holding on to their tight end, Luke Farrell,
right,
I have very little criticism of their offseason. They still don't have a backup running back, but it's not a good pool. So I think they're going to ride with Jordan James and have to draft somebody. They weren't that proactive there, but they could have made a couple moves early.
There's some pick and choosing.
We're gonna have criticisms like running back, tight end,
totally.
But overwhelmingly, I think they've set themselves up very well. I appreciate that they've just gone old again.
Hey,
but
if it is broke, do try to fix it. But I did love getting into it on the Hell Machine the other day, where it's like, oh, the Niners just got older and more injured, and I'm like, oh yeah, all those young, fresh free agents. Like,
right.
If you are young, fresh, and good, do you think you're hitting the market? No, you're not. That's just not how this works. And the nice part about free agent deals like the ones that the Niners have made here are, it's like Leonard Floyd. If it doesn't work out, you just get off it. You just move on.
Yep. Have you seen how the Mike Evans contract is structured?
Not favorably to Mike Evans, my friend.
It's like $3 million, $3 million, $7 or $9 million or something. It's hilarious. One, he took a pay cut, and how they just structured it, where it's like none of that money means anything to them on the cap.
Yeah,
and will never really be consequential.
No. Is he even going to be a top 51 for this team? Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's close. It's not a high level contract for them this year. And then they go and they get Christian Kirk.
Yeah, which I like the pickup. The Evans contract was actually fairly reminiscent of the Diamador Lenore contract, where it's like, oh, you gave him $92 million, and it's like, no, you gave him like $5. Like, I don't.
Right. It's like a max of $100 million, but $11 is guaranteed.
The only thing that was guaranteed was the first check that they had to put in for postage.
Yeah. It's a one year $14 million deal where he's probably got incentives in the deal, where it's like, if you play a remotely decent amount, you'll get more money.
Yeah.
And then if you play well, we'll probably keep you around for another year. If you don't, we'll move on.
Right, and it won't hurt us one way or another. What did you make of the Christian Kirk signing? I don't believe that we had mentioned him in anything more than passing, and I'm not even sure we did that. But It felt to me like a nice little piece of business.
I think it's a great, solid receiver who you can move around, who's played in a lot of different systems, who I think, the fact that he played for Houston last year, he had a lot of different injuries over the last couple of years, but played really well in the playoffs.
He did.
I don't think he has the same juice he used to have, but he's not slow. Like, I think it's a really crafty wide receiver. You can put in a lot of different. You're going to probably want him in the slot or off, in Z. But like, that's a competent receiver. You suddenly have Mike Evans, Pearsall, Marcus Robinson, and Christian Kirk, and whatever the rookies you have, or they're not all rookies. Jordan Watkins and Jacob Cowing,
the non-playable characters to this point.
Correct. Whatever they can give you, if anything, is a bonus, and then you can say, hey, wide receiver isn't a dire need for us. I still think you could easily draft a wide receiver at 27.
You could.
Given the way this draft is shaping up. But now you go, we can look in other directions and be really flexible.
It did feel like before Evans signed and even after Evans signed that like wide receiver still was kind of a throbbing issue. Everything hurts, but this part of my body is like physically aching and like I can see it swelling.
Right.
And needing 2 wide receivers going into the draft, like it's not or going into free agency is not ideal if you need to nail the one that you signed and then nail the one that you drafted. Now they don't need to nail the one that they drafted in terms of immediate return, which pretty clearly history has shown us, like, Kyle Shanahan ain't playing no fucking rookie unless he's really good. Unless he's Pearsall.
Unless he's healthy for all of training camp, which never happens with the rookies that they draft.
Not a one of them. So
literally, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know one that's just been healthy the entire offseason program and training camp the entire time. And then I get it because you need them out there. But Kyle's like, well, he's not healthy. It's like, well, that's what happens with rookies. It's they go from having a long college season to the longest offseason to no breaks off, and then going into 18-game season. It's like an impossible task to stay fully healthy.
I'm interested to see what they do because they could stand pat at wide receiver from this point on and make the case that Jordan Watkins is the viable 5, with then moving Cowing to like a weird practice squad role where he's your 6th, but you can call him up if needed. They still do need a kick and maybe not a kick returner, but a punt returner.
Yeah.
That's maybe something kind of like how we've been talking about tackle guard. Like maybe that becomes sort of the wide receiver. I know that Junior Bergen still exists. I know that that's a thing. I'm not quite sure that sitting and watching helped Junior Bergen figure out how to return punts at the NFL level.
There's not a lot of juice when we watched him return stuff. You're like
we were going on Brant Boyer saying and then Brant Boyer's like I don't know, I think Jake Moody's the best kicker I've ever seen. So at that point we're like, and we can't take you that seriously. Like he's good at his job, don't get me wrong, but the press conference not informative when it comes to pumping the tires of his own players.
I was literally going to make a Trent Taylor joke, and then multiple commenters have beaten us to it.
And listen, it is a joke that Trent Taylor is probably the leader in the clubhouse because I know Cowing, they always practiced him doing that. He's clearly shown no ability to this point to do it.
I don't think his hands were that good either.
Yeah, so I do think that Jacob Cowing is probably on the way out, which hey, it is what it is. In the same way that a Willis is out, in the same way that Nick Martin is probably out. I mean, they have a full roster as it stands. Like they don't have to add that many guys to get to 90, and in that, like there are guys who are currently on the roster that we've had on this sort of hypothetical depth chart that aren't going to be on the team come the cutdown day. Like they're already over 50, 55, whatever you want to call it.
8 linebackers, so
yeah, well, and
that's going to be
2 of them might be good. I don't know which ones.
I feel like there's a non-zero chance D Winters gets moved for a late round pick, like a 6th or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the real move would be to trade Nick Martin for a 2027 draft pick and say, hey, give us a 6th round pick in 2 years.
But the funny thing about that, I mean, I
don't think anyone would actually do that. But
because when he got drafted, I mean, we have now internalized the take as our own. But obviously, when he got drafted, there was feedback from the league. And some of the feedback was, what? What are they doing? Like, we thought that mainly because we were projecting a little bit of insecurity on, like, I don't think we watched any Nick Martin. Like, we had barely watched him.
And then we went,
are we sure it's
rocked
that guy?
at the second level. It's like
once you saw Dylan Gabriel blow him up, you're like, oh, that's.
I saw Dylan Gabriel knock him out cold.
Yeah, that's a disqualifying event. Dylan Gabriel's itty bitty.
I know.
Guy.
Also, this is a very brief tangent.
Sure.
But like Sonny Styles, someone was asking me like why I don't have him higher on the board. Like, kind of doesn't get off blocks at the second level the way you would hope for him, for a guy with all that talent. There's a little bit of like ball watching passiveness that you go, and again, when it's clear, like, great. Like,
my goodness.
But there's some other linebackers that are just a little bit more crafty, like day one getting around these blocks, and you're like, interesting.
The Ohio State guys, I mean, Arvell Reese is the kind of player that you're not concerned about, but I'm a little bit concerned about, not for his talent level, but on which team he ends up on, because he has to be used in somewhat creative ways because he's not clearly anything, which means he could be everything, but he's not.
Make an argument, but I hear you. Yeah.
And then with Styles at the second level, he's clearly a former safety who's there. And then if that works, it's like, oh, he's Fred Warner. That's incredible.
Yeah.
But you do need to be able to shed blocks, and it doesn't seem as if he is like eager to get into the fray in that regard. Is that a fair criticism?
Yeah, it feels like he's a little bit of like thinking, and then he's like, oh, shoot, now I got to get around this.
I do think that part of that is Ohio State's defense. Like, I do think that that's how Matt Patricia wanted them to handle things.
And it's a lot of him as the only linebacker, right? It's like a five-man front at a lot of times, and he's the only linebacker there, which won't be as common.
You see a lot of the same things with Caleb Downs, except Caleb Downs is at the third level, so it's not as important to me. It is clearly been deemed important to others that they're like, oh, I don't know. He seems like he's kind of watching a little bit too long, and when he triggers, he can get there. He always seems to get there, but is that going to be the same thing at the NFL level? It's a fair criticism. It's also, he's been the best safety in college football for 3 flipping years. So it's like, I think he gets bored. It could be as simple as Styles is bored because he's so much better than these guys that he doesn't have to operate on the same speed as everybody else. He can just wait until the last second and pounce like a cheetah. He could also get totally washed out again and again and again, because he's not a big guy. I mean, he doesn't have the broadest shoulders. He's narrow-waisted. When you think about a linebacker, even in this modern era where linebackers are predicated on speed, like, he's lanky. He's lanky compared to them. He doesn't look the same as what a Fred Warner looks like, certainly what a Dre Greenlaw looks like. I'm not asking for anyone to be like Denzel Perriman anymore, where it's like, I have the A-gap. No one goes through the A-gap. But I don't think that that's useful anymore, but I do think that there is some archetype there that needs to be maintained. And again, with Styles, much like with Reese, like I wonder where he goes. I think that will have
agreed
with all players a very important say on how successful they are. So the Niners, as it stands now, first round pick 27, second round pick 58. Do I have that right? Sorry, should probably do my research.
Yep.
And then 3 fourth-round picks. How many of the fourth-round picks?
They got rid of their third, so they have first, second, 3 fourth-round picks, I think.
Yeah. So that would be 5.
Right?
Yeah, they had 6. Now they have 5. This all checks out. We're on top of it, folks. The first 2 picks are going to be towards a need.
4 fourths.
4 fourths, as we should all load up in this draft. Get the final good players. So the first two picks by nature, even though it's 58, kind of roughly top 50, are going to be to fill a need to a certain degree. They're going to be expected to come in and contribute somewhere. Because this team still has needs. They still have need at defensive end. They still have need at guard. They probably still have a need at safety, though there's debate about that, and frankly, there's not a lot of information about what the Niners want to do there. Running back is another position where, as you mentioned, like they have a need there. So I do think that that's where it goes. When you look at the needs that they have, how many of them should still be addressed in the free agent market? And how many of them do you think you can wait until the draft for? if you're calling the shots.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is I wrote for all of you Hutch Report subscribers. I broke down sort of how I see the 27th pick of you've got the top tier that's gone, guys that I'm very certain are gone, a lot of very good players who are likely going to be gone. And then you get into a weird fringe where the 49ers could either be sitting really pretty, depending on teams overdrafting somebody, which always happens, or in a situation where you're like, all right, so at edge, Akeem Mesidor's gone. So there's no real option that makes sense. Peter Woods is gone, so there's no real defensive. What were you going to say?
I want to save it. I'm gonna put a pin in it. I apologize for interrupting you. You were in a flow, and I'm just gonna. I wanted to talk about this guy. We haven't talked about this guy. I think that there's something that can happen that could be very interesting, and I think that it might tickle your fancy. But I'm gonna bring it up later.
Okay. I think again, Mesidor. I think he'll probably be gone earlier. Okay. Woods, I think, will be gone. I know there's talk of him sliding and whatever. With Caleb Banks not even being a first-round option, I think Woods, there's not even a chance. Proctor, I still don't believe is going to end up there.
It's looking more and more that way.
It's just linemen go, man. They just
Monroe
go.
Freeling can go 6. Trust me, anyone can go anywhere.
Sadiq maybe, but probably not. And then it's I think Chris Brazzell probably not.
You think Brazzell goes earlier or that he's not?
I think he goes earlier. I think someone's going to draft him in the late teens or early 20s. And I know most people don't share that opinion, and I know I'm very high on him. But I do think there's crazy athletic ability in a weird draft class.
I'll give you that.
And then at corner, you might have a shot at corner where there's maybe one of the Tennessee guys and Chris Johnson, maybe one of those guys is there, and you go, all right, that's a clear elite first-round talent. I don't think Thienemann's going to be there. I don't think you can draft C.J. Allen if he's there based on what your situation is. And then Emmanuel Pregnon and Basantis are great, but that's a trade down to the second-round move. So,
which, by the way, everybody at the end of the first round is going to be can we get off of this pick? I don't want to give that guy a fifth-year option. Can we just get to 33 or 34? Can we please go there?
Exactly. And it's Lamu and Iheanacho are not guard tackle options, so I don't think they make a ton of sense at the O-line. And then Concepcion, I think, is probably the most logical pick. I was kind of out early, and I still don't see him as a true first-rounder, but he is special with the ball in his hands. But at the same time, he's just a rotational player for you year one. I don't know. And then at edge, again, I mentioned Mesidor. Is Zion Young? Again, the first-round talent's there, but hasn't had the production. That one kind of makes some sense.
It does.
And then DT, again, I don't think Peter Woods is going to be there. And I actually love Caden McDonald. I watched more of him. But I think you have to take him in round 2 because there's no pass rush upside. Right. Or it's going to at least take time. It has to be power only. And then so safety gets interesting where it's do you take Emmanuel McNeil Warren?
I don't.
Or A.J. Halsey a little bit too early? I know it's easy to say trade down, but there's a very clear situation where trading down makes a ton of sense for them.
I agree with that. I also think that because there's not, I imagine that Simpson, well, the best case scenario for them is that Simpson's still on the board and someone's let's go up and get him. Let's go up and get him at 27. That's a reasonable place to do it.
Or that someone takes him earlier than that and it pushes some talent down the board. But you're right. In terms of leveraging that, I think you're right. Having him there.
I think it's just going to be hard to make that trade. I just don't think, because this is a draft that is, in a good way for the 49ers, so valuable at non-premium positions, which is where a lot of their needs line up, there's just, listen, there's a million things that can happen. It's ridiculous to maybe project it all out, but is someone going to be oh, great, Colton Hood is there. Let me trade into the first round.
Probably
we got to get ourselves
sick.
I get it, but we got to get ourselves a Blake Miller. Let's go up and get him.
But that's actually a guy that could happen with.
It all could happen. It just feels
I'm just saying with offensive tackles, teams get awfully desperate.
Okay. And the Niners might be that. Now, I'm looking at Yahoo's recent mock draft. They have Iheanacho at 27. How would you feel about Iheanacho at 27?
I think Iheanacho is really interesting. He's a very difficult evaluation for me. I think if he played right tackle for them, that would make sense. I just don't know I don't know that he slots into guard. I
No.
think in terms of being a first round talent, I see that, but I just don't know that they're a team that wants to redshirt somebody for a year at that premium slot.
Which by the way brings us to, I mean, are you still I'm still expecting Trent Williams resolution to happen in the next 48 to 72, probably 48 hours, frankly.
Yeah, it's the end of the week that his contract stuff is
20th. They owe him $10 million on the 20th. So, deadlines make deals, and it's, shit or get off the pot, frankly, for both parties. Trent doesn't want to go into a lame duck year. He'll take the $10 million. He doesn't want to go into a lame duck year. And the Niners don't want to pay that $10 million without some salary cap relief, because once you've paid that $10 million, that's on the books. So now it's a little less funny money that you can play with, a little less you can kick down the road. Wouldn't shock me if it was tomorrow afternoon. That's planting a flag there. Because, maybe Thursday morning, but this feels like we're down to brass tacks in the matter, and I haven't heard anything. There's not a lot of reporting on it. There certainly hasn't been a lot of scuttlebutt about it that's reached me, but I also haven't heard any negatives about it, right? I haven't heard this is not happening.
right.
When
I can't fathom. Again, I can't fathom Trent being anywhere but this team or retired.
Right. And by the way, they can just run it out, which is not prudent for anybody, but they could just run it out, in which case Trent Williams show up to work week 1, Tuesday of week 1, Wednesday of week 1, because him and Mike Evans, as we've joked, should just set up a little cabana in the corner during training camp and hang out.
Yeah, they should just have like a quad locker situation.
Oh my God, yeah, where is Evans' locker going to be? What number is Evans going to wear? He can't wear 13. It's going to look weird.
14,
3. Well, yes. There's, the guy that you've known your entire career to wear one number, having to wear another number in year 13, does have washed written all over it.
It does have huge washed energy.
Just when you look at that photo, you can already feel the angst of the season. It's permeating off of it. It hasn't even happened yet.
It's going to be something weird.
It might be 83 or something.
Doesn't matter what he wears, it'll be weird.
Yeah, I'm not. Can't. Yeah, 18 can wear Dante Pettis' old number. I don't know.
I mean, that's going to go that's got to be hung up somewhere, right?
They do have a lot of retired numbers.
They do. It's a real problem. That's why you get so many guys in training camp wearing the same number.
Yeah. They run through 7s at training camp. Let's put it that way. All those Kaepernick jerseys, they're like, we found a use for them. Just take the nameplate off. Okay. Here's the name I wanted to bring up as a possibility at 27 that I don't think that I know that we haven't entertained as a realistic option, but I'm getting the feeling that it's an actual possibility, and that's Kendrick Faulk out of Auburn.
Okay.
Who is when you watch him, it's clear he's not that speed bend edge rusher that this team really needs.
You got my attention, buddy.
but he might also be that. I don't know what he is, and as I said earlier, that means he could probably be anything.
There was a game I graded, and I'm trying to remember which one it was, but I'm not exaggerating. He had 7 run stops, solo run stops in this game. In terms of some things I have written down where I do voice notes and then I have it described for me. The strengths: velociraptor violence, alien movement skills, the Rip Bend King.
The Rip Bend King is awesome.
So he's got some. It's funny because he sometimes flashes. You're like, oh, he actually has a deep bag, and then other times you're like, he's bagless. And you're like, what's going on here? And he's also, to be fair, very rarely rushing from a true edge position. There's a lot of 4-eye, a lot of head up stuff where he's doing a lot of strange stuff for Auburn. But as soon as you go like, oh, is this just like an edge setter? You're like, no, he's more than that. And he's not nearly as good of an edge setter as like Mikel is.
No.
And you're going to see some comps because of the size, but like, man, he's hard to quit in terms of just some of the things you see from him. You could say he's like a bendier, clumsier Eric Armstead in some ways, but I think I don't know. There's a lot of people you could compare him to. He is a fascinating player who I loved, and then I was like, I'm too high, and then I wrote him off a little bit, and then I watched again, and I went, man,
there's something there.
That's a really intriguing prospect. Do you really think he'd make it to 27 in this draft class?
He's a divisive prospect. That's where I'm coming from. I do think it's a bit fanciful. I don't think he's divisive enough to where needs and possibility. I do think at some point, I don't think anyone's trading up to get him. I don't think that anyone feels so strongly it's like we got to get Kendrick Faulk because he's a project. He's a project. But like the Niners can afford a project at defensive end and at tackle. Like and 2 of the 4 premium positions in football, I include wide receiver in that now. Like that's incredible. And if he starts falling, he might keep falling. Like if he gets past, I mean, I don't know what Miami wants to do. I don't think that the Rams are going there at 13. Dallas could go there at 12, maybe not. Baltimore probably. I could see
him in a Dallas uniform.
I can too. And listen, I can make the case for every single team to take him, as I just listed off. Like Baltimore at 14. Like who's going to have a better time with him than the Baltimore Ravens and Jesse Minter? But they can also use a wide receiver like nobody's business, and that's a pretty premier spot to get one of the 2 or 3 best.
What I will say, and Cauchipto beat me to the point. Teams are fetishists for speed rushers.
Yeah.
So, like, there's Reuben Bain and David Bailey and Reese go off the board, the top tier, right? All great.
And then Messidor probably would go above him on that rubric.
Totally. In terms of much more polished, day one ready. But then outside of that, you go, like, might a team convince themselves that, like, our Mason Thomas is...
Jesus.
I just watched Dieter go cross-eyed.
Sorry, there's always like one thing floating in front of my face during a show that I have to catch.
But like a team might go like, hey, our Mason Thomas, Cassius Howell, we're going to take them just speed guys, right? We love guys with just pure speed.
Yeah.
I find it a bit nauseating.
Agreed.
Personally, I need the full package, at least the idea that you can set an edge properly.
Right. I'm drafting you in the first round. Here's an idea. Play all 3 downs.
Agreed.
Maybe you have to slide around a little bit, but can you play all 3 downs?
Where like 1 or 2 of those guys goes, like there's like a real world where that could happen. I still think it's unlikely he's off the board, but
I agree.
I like where your head's at.
Because now I don't know what they're going to do with Joey Bosa, right? I do think that there's interest there. I think that it's probably...
There's been a lot of fake jerseys made.
I mean,
that's been a lot of Photoshops done.
Yeah. It wouldn't be bad. He would help them win football games. I don't think that it is proper roster construction on the defensive line to add another 5-tech. Now, I don't know what's going on with little baby's friend, Keon White, and that ankle. If that ankle is kind of messed up and Keon White isn't Keon White anymore, and only the Niners know that, and we might not even know that for a while yet, then having Joey Bosa makes a lot of sense. Because, okay, you got Sam Aquanu, you got Mikel, you don't want to throw everything on Mikel's shoulders for another year coming off an ACL injury. Yeah, you can use another 5-tech, and you'll just have to figure out a way on the cheap to get somebody to back up Nick as the speed rusher, the actual sack getter. Everyone else is going to push the pocket, and Nick is going to do the job. But they have always had Bosa as the first and second down wide 9, a true strong side defensive end, a 3-tech and a 1-tech. And then on third downs or clear passing downs, they bring in a speed rusher, be it D Ford, be it last year, Bryce Huff. They've always, Samson Ebukam. They've always wanted to have that other speed rusher so that Bosa can go play 5 tech, which is really like a 7 tech, on the opposite, the strong side defensive end on a third down pass rush where he can handle it because he's big and strong. He can actually set an edge if in case it is an RPO or something. But then you just have the guy just going off the edge. You also are going to be in a defense that probably does a lot more 5-man fronts this upcoming year. And so we're thinking about maybe more of an outside linebacker type, right, that you keep in there. So all of this to say, ironically, an R. Mason Thomas would be a nice pickup for the 49ers maybe at 58. But if you're sitting at 27 and Kendrick Faulk, who is somebody, in theory, total theory, which is why he'd be there at 27, who could maybe be an unbelievable speed rusher if you just told him you don't have to worry about anything else right now. Just go kill quarterback. Like, I see enough there to where I'm like, hey, let's do this thing. Like, he can be that guy, and you build from there. You can also set him up as, Mikel's backup, and your job is to crash inside and clear lanes for linebackers. Like, the fact that you can have both in the same way that we've talked about Proctor as, hey, he can be your future left tackle, but in the meantime, I got a left guard for you. Like, that would be the have your cake and eat it too player at 27. And it wasn't until this week when it's conjecture. I haven't sourced this with anybody. I don't have anybody saying, like, I think he's going to fall. But in just kind of reading the tea leaves of conversations I've had about who the Niners are going to be, I don't think that Faulk is somebody who is guaranteed to go above the Niners. And I would say a week ago, I thought he was guaranteed to go above the Niners. So that's where I stand.
It's an interesting thought. Again, I think the talent in this draft class is iffy, and he's one of the few guys I think is a definite first rounder. Yeah. So I think it's unlikely. But, like, in terms of teams valuing just the bursty guys off the line, also the thought of, like, healthy Mikel and Nick Bosa and Odigizua and then someone like Faulk, like, all on the field at the same time is, like, insane in terms of just the force. Like, I don't know what offensive line can consistently deal with that.
You can't. You couldn't. And it takes a little something off of Mikel. Like, now Mikel can be whatever he needs to be without the pressure of having to be the best version of himself. If he is going to be not the player that you and I projected him to be, he's 21 years old, by the way. Like, but if he's not going to be that guy because of the knee injury or because he was never going to be that guy, well, now you're not as screwed long term because all he is a strong side defensive end. Well, by the way, a very good one at that as a rookie. So if he's just a strong side defensive end, okay, that sucks that you use pick 11 on a strong side defensive end. You've done worse, and you still have a productive, positive player. Whereas with Faulk, if you were to go and get an R. Mason Thomas at 27, which I do not advocate them doing, but if you were to just get a true speed rusher in the way that most teams are all horny for speed rushers, well, now he's not going to turn into anything more than what you're getting basically day one. You just hope that he can marginally expand the bag. It's a high floor, low ceiling option. I don't like that.
Where are you at with, like, pick 27? Because we're talking about edge, and it feels like, to me, just gets dicey quick. Like, if there's not Faulk, if there's not Mesidor, that's kind of it. You could talk yourself maybe into Zion Young, who, again, I like, but is
Zion feels perfect at pick like 35 or 40.
I agree. That's why, again, I have him graded as a 1/2, not as a first rounder. And I think it's like he just has so much talent and strain and contact balance that I really like. But I don't know that he provides what, like, the 49ers would be looking for day one. I mentioned Joshua Josephs, who's like a very long, speed, bendy guy from Tennessee, but he's not a first rounder either.
Yeah, he might not even be a second rounder. And that's the other aspect of it. I do think that if you hold off, you're going to be fine. You can probably get someone to fill that very specific third down speed rusher role if you trade back into the third, or certainly if you use one of your 4 picks in the fourth. Like, I think you can do that. I think you could do it with Malachi Lawrence at 58, who I think would be a really nice pickup. But when you're doing a first-round pick, you have to think about the now and the future. With a guy like Faulk, the other aspect of it, and again, I don't want to give too much credence to the possibility here. I just think that it is a possibility, which is more than I could have said a week ago. But Bosa has a $50 million cap hit after the 26th season. He's had 3 ACL surgeries. I'm not advocating get rid of Nick Bosa, but if they wanted to, it's a lot easier when you have a guy like Kendrick Faulk in the fold already, and you're not asking some one-trick pony that you took in the 2nd or 4th round to come in and now be that guy on 1st and 2nd down, and you're not asking Michael coming off of a shredded knee to, hey, you need to fully actualize now, buddy, because we need you. You give yourself the ability to move away from it. And again, it's a very similar conversation to what we've been having with Trent. Now, Trent, obviously, we know where the limitation is. It's that he old. Right. But you do need to think about the flexibility here in the same way that they drafted Pearsall. Yeah. And thank God they drafted Pearsall because they thought it was going to be Ayuk at X and Pearsall at Z for the next 5 years. Turns out it's only Pearsall now. So, I never, this is not exactly a Michael Penix, Kirk Cousins situation. You're getting something now, but you really are thinking about the future as well with your first round pick.
Yeah, and that's why I think wide receiver is an option. Very briefly, I just want to beat by beat go through positions just to hammer the point home.
Let's do it.
QB, no.
This is for first round?
This is for the Niners at pick 27 and what's available and what makes sense. Right. QB, you hope someone takes Ty Simpson or wants to get
it. It ain't going to be them.
Running back, I don't know that there's actually a clear number 2 in this draft. I like Jadarian Price, and I like Katron Allen. I think you could make cases for each of them in round 2. No one at pick 27 makes even a lick of sense. No. Wide receiver, there's a ton of options. Some now. Are they all good options? Are they worth pick 27? For the most part, no.
Well, who are the if we're presuming that Tyson,
and Lemon are gone.
Lemon's also in this Faulk zone right now.
I said Tate and Tyson are definitely gone.
True.
Lemon is likely gone.
Okay.
Denzel Boston maybe, even though I don't know. And then
Concepcion,
Cooper, Brazel. And then
I don't
Omar
think Jeremy
Cooper.
Bernard is in that first round conversation.
No, I think he's going to end up in the 2nd.
I think he'll be off the board well before the Niners pick in the 2nd too.
It's a lot of fringe, man. It's a lot of Concepcion makes a lot of sense, but is also not ever going to be an X. I don't think. I think he's clearly as he put the ball in his hands against zone. Awesome. I think Bernard could be an X, but there's a lot of loosey-goosiness to his play that worries me a little bit.
I'm sure Kyle's going to love it.
And there's some stuff I love, right? And so it's Brazel is the only clear X. And I just don't know. I think teams are going to have wildly different opinions on him, but I think he's such a clear first rounder. We're in alignment on that. Moving to tight end briefly, it's Sadiq and then no one. No, I don't even think there's.
When do you think that second tight end comes off the board?
Late round 2, and that will be a reach.
Who do you think it would be?
Oh, that's such a good question. Stowers, to the Rams.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Stowers. I think Stowers has. Where did Arroyo get drafted last year? He was 3rd, 4th round.
Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of talking the same thing, except smaller.
I don't think Michael Trigg either.
No,
maybe Max Clare.
Maybe Max Clare.
I don't even know. I'm not certain about that. I think it should be in the 3rd. I think there's a monumental drop off from Sadiq and everybody else, but there are a bunch of useful guys. I think it's funny that first tier. It's a lot of those move tight ends. And then you get into guys that I love, like Oscar Delp and Dallin Bentley, and Kakamarek, who's a lunatic blocker. There's a lot of useful tight ends. It's just the ones at the top are a lot of, I don't know, it's projectable move. You're basically a big slot. But none of those options are at pick 27. Offensive tackle, Maui Noah's gone. Almost certainly Fano's gone. I know there's a little flexibility there because the short arms, but I still think he's firmly going to be round 1.
His tape is bitching. Like
I know.
it's good.
And then Freeling's going to be gone too. So those three are gone. And then it's like Proctor, Lamu,
Miller,
Iheanacho. So there's options.
I think
Proctor's the only one that does the
Tiernan's going to work
thing.
himself into that conversation, by the way. I really liked his tape.
Yeah.
He might be our divisive prospect of the year where you're like, he's a late second. And I'm like, I think he could be a fringe first.
I have him as a 3-4.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, listen, if I had to pick one tackle right now who I'm like, let's do this thing, including value, give me Brian Parker out of Duke.
Duke's got it's funny. Duke is not a football school, but they've got like road graders, feisty guys, like the nickel they have, who's awesome, who you pointed out. He's awesome.
Hold on, let me give you the name on that. Chandler Rivers.
He's fun. I like him a lot. So there's some options to tackle,
ironically,
but only Proctor.
This would be. They're not. They should not do this. But they could get an awesome guard at 27. If they just want to say, hell with it all. To hell with it all. Maybe they're in on Iwane. I'm not. But, like, at 27, like, hey, man, like, not for me, but I can see how you can be convinced of it. Pregnon at 27, that is an ultimate, like, who gives a damn? Fifth-year option? Fuck it.
That's like, I don't care. He is the best player available, and he happens to be exactly what we need on the roster. Like, him or Basantis in that slot. And I think the goal would be, if I was drafting, it'd be like, all right, are there another 5 or 6 draftable players that I like in this slot? Probably not. But can I get away with trading down to the very start of the second round? Can I make a deal with the Houston Texans or something? I don't know if they're at the top of the second round. I feel like they always have another pick.
Then they're going to guarantee the money.
Or the Jets. I feel like the Jets probably have an extra one. But if you can somehow trade down to the top of the second and take those guys, I think you're probably overthinking it because both of them are so sick. Realistically, that makes the most sense. Is just taking if like Proctor's not there or Mesidor's not there, any of these guys where you're on the fringe. I know guard is not a valuable position in terms of just like how contracts are structured, and you're sort of overpaying for the position, and you're really betting on them being good. But Pregnon is so sick. Like he's
fantastic,
awesome.
He's just old. It's like he went on a mission or something.
He's so violent. He's so mad. And there's not enough anger with the way certain people play O-line. And I think he is like the exact piece the Niners could use.
I mean, listen, let's be clear about the concerns here. He's 25 years old. He has one good college football season when he was like 25 years old. Like, it's a little bit of a red flag.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, he's literally beating up on dudes 7 years younger than him in some cases. Like,
okay,
that ain't fair. That ain't fair. I'm not disagreeing. The tape is awesome, but if you're talking 27, you have to take into account. By the way, the Houston Texans are picking at 38. They got a pick from Washington. So, yeah.
Yeah. There's an argument, Basantis, given the athleticism, and he's, I think, a little younger, might make more
Basantis
sense.
at 27 is a bit of a reach. The name that I think you should be holding on to here is Terrell. He can get there. He can get to 27.
Avion Terrell gets down to 27?
I do think he can get down to 27.
I would be screaming at the screen if that happened, calling everyone in the NFL a moron. Because he's
I would
so
relay
good.
The message. Just saying. He's
so good at football.
Is Chris Johnson too much of a stretch at 27?
Not at all. Nope.
I don't think so either.
No.
I don't think the market agrees with that right now. I think that they view him as a clear second, and I don't.
I think he's a definite. I mean, I'm not a definite first, but like in my book, he's a definite first round talent. Like he checked off the measurables. He plays corner perfectly.
He's fantastic.
Like he shadows people. He runs routes for them. Like he plays into his help. He's brilliant. Like I don't know. His size, maybe, that he's lean. I don't know. He's fantastic.
I think it would be a concern with level of competition. Doesn't seem to matter for,
I don't care.
Emmanuel Warren at Toledo. He has great tape. It's actually more interesting than not, but
it's more fun. It's not to say he's not going to be sick. It's just I have trouble with someone who's like a highlight guy.
I'm with you.
Anyway.
He might be a YouTube all-star. I don't think that's true, but he might be. Okay. I don't even know what the initial prompt here was. What the hell are they going to do at guard and defensive end, Jake? Because those seem to be the two pressing needs: left guard and defensive end.
Yeah, I mean guard they're going to have to draft somebody, and it feels like they're just going cheap and they're going to draft someone. Because I feel like who's left? Like Joel Bitonio at age 40.
It's interesting you ask. Dylan Parham, who's been kind of my, like, if you have to.
He got signed away. Did he not?
Not according to the chart that I looked at, but every time I say somebody, they get signed about 45 minutes later. I should probably send out messages before I write anything down on this sheet of paper. Will Hernandez, there's obviously a medical thing there.
Yeah.
A name that's a possible.
Yeah, the Jets signed Dylan Parham like a week ago.
He's still. I mean, listen, I'm not a Spotrac man, but
the Jets worked. Yeah, he gets a 2-year deal.
Dylan Parham,
according to Rap Sheet about a week ago.
Okay. What am I missing here? Yeah. Maybe I mixed him up with somebody. Yeah, the hell with it. I think they literally changed. I can't believe this. I think they literally changed this sheet right when we started talking. Dylan Parham. We're talking about the 26-year-old guard from the Raiders, right?
That's correct.
Jesus Christ, Spotrac, get your website together. He's still on the list of available free agents. You click on his name and it says Jets next to it now. Well done. This is why we don't use your shitty website. God,
can I give you a name for the 49ers
give me a name
at guard?
Give me a name.
And it's a guy I texted you about a couple days ago. Jalen Farmer out of Kentucky.
He is fun. He is so much fun.
And here's the thing. I think you do package deal. You take the center with him. Jaeger Burton. The center who's next to him, who pops off the line. He's like the speed, and then Farmer's the pop. And I'm telling you, Farmer is violent when he pulls. Like, he gets guys out of space, and he hammers them. And I just think get him and Burton in a package deal. You know how the Rams are obsessed with that, and they did that with the Florida State guys, and they said, who are two guys that work together well? Like, how can we maximize that?
Yeah.
And they looked at combinations about how we can, showing how smart they are, how they can do all these combinations of get players that play together. That's one where I'd be like, I would want Farmer and Burton as a package deal because I think they're sick.
The Rams are smart because they realize, like, hey, what do you build hockey lines based on just your three best players? Like, yeah, if you're doing a power play. No, like, typically you have to have somebody who does, like, the best Sharks line is you got Colin Graff on left wing, you got Celebrini in the middle, and then you got Smith. Like, Smith on the right wing, like, he's got deficiencies, but then Celebrini covers up for it, and then Graff just does all the smart things to make up for Smith doing dumb shit, and Celebrini is then freed by their counterbalance to just be brilliant. Like, when you mix that up, then suddenly things start getting weird. Like, there is something to be said for chemistry on a hockey line. I would venture to say that there's something to be said for chemistry, particularly on the interior of an offensive line. Yeah. And we always talk about how important it is when they have a good offensive line. Like, they got great chemistry on the inside. They always hand off guys great. Like, this is what they do in college football, right? On a larger scale. It's like, hey, we're hiring you as a coach. Bring all of your players. Like, the guy at North Texas, it's like Oklahoma State's like, our team sucks. Your team is good. We're going to hire you, and then we're going to buy all your players for you. Even Cignetti brought a bunch of dudes from, forgive me, what is it? James Madison.
James Madison. I said George Mason.
That's bad because I was thinking George Mason too, and I go, George Mason is a commuter school in the D.C. area that only plays basketball. So yeah, we're on fire tonight. I like it. This is something I wanted to say a bit earlier, just completely apropos of nothing at this point. But I do get worried about this sort of, we'll come back and get him in the 4th round. It's like,
yeah,
good luck with that.
No, I'm with you. I think like the 3rd round could be a bloodbath for them, and you go, oh no,
right?
We got to get a tweener and plug somebody in, and then you're going, oh, they didn't solve guard at all.
Correct. And again,
which I think is the likeliest situation that they actually don't address it properly.
And then we're we're walking the snowy fields of Toth on week 1, which could be worse, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, they'll draft another Iowa guy in round 7, and we'll go, is he good?
Who would that be? Would that be Bo Stevens? I don't think he'll be in 7.
I don't think he'll be in 7 either.
Hold on. Let me just throw a name at you here.
It'll be one that's not on the list.
Right. We weren't aware that he was in the draft.
It'll be the guy we didn't know who was draft eligible, as is always the case.
They're gonna come out with like Liam Becker from North Dakota.
I like Connor Lew from Auburn, but he doesn't have enough pop, and he doesn't really like. He's
Connor Lew, the center.
Yeah,
I don't think he's a guard.
He's awesome. He's a clear center, extremely high IQ player, does everything sort of right, but is not like a total driver, mauler, mover, and he's only a center.
I always go with Kansas State interior offensive lineman Sam Hecht is a very fun watch.
I haven't watched him yet, but I'm excited to.
You will enjoy it. And Kawachipto, who always has the great comments, don't get me wrong, with an astute point here. Like Colby was reasonably solid for a 7th rounder. When you expect nothing and you get something, that is in fact positive. Are you trying to win a Super Bowl, or are you trying to win the public relations game? Chris Forster might be actually trying to do the second, but that's neither here nor there. I also kind of like this guy.
I was just watching some Pat Coogan. I agree.
Dumpy
I think he's
boy.
Actually better at guard than at center. Like he had to play center, and I think he fits better next to one.
I think I think that they will be okay in getting a guard in the 4th round. I don't know if that solves their current 2026 problem. And I'm not sure it would be the guard that they would want. I don't think it would be a best case scenario. I think it would just. Which is why.
Pick 27. Just do it. Like
that sounds like a problem for future John and future Kyle.
Yeah, or figure out a way to trade down to the very start of the 1st round, but then you're like sweating it for 5 or 6 picks.
Who would be the smart? Okay, so the teams that are under the Niners, as it stands now, are the Texans, who I think feel okay. They bring back Ingram. They've made, I think that they're not going offensive line. Kansas City, who needs kind of they're fine at guard, for sure. The Broncos, who don't need guards. The Patriots, don't think they're going guard. Seahawks, that's a spot that
they could use a right guard.
They could use a right guard real bad.
Very, very desperately. You're going to let Emmanuel Pregnon go to Seattle?
You might have to. I don't know. How do you feel, by the way, sorry, I know I'm going into the comments here. How do you feel about Kalen Rutledge? Because this is a name that I saw 4,000 times in the stream with Larry yesterday. I watched a lot of Georgia Tech football.
Oh, yeah, I just watched him. So I hated him at the start.
Yep.
Because I thought he was kind of doughy. Initially thought he didn't move his feet that well. And then I went, actually, he has a decent first step off the line, which saves him a little bit. Like he actually does move quick off the line for being so rotund.
Yeah.
He doesn't have like the sort of pop in his hands you want, like plays with kind of a bad base and can get blown off the ball at times. But he grew on me as I watched him. He found ways to get his body oriented. In some ways like Pooney, where it's sort of like a doughier guy who finds ways to survive. He did well pulling against like small edge rushers, which is hard to be like, I don't know. The competition wasn't always great. Yeah, I think he was like a perfect 4th round guard who's probably going to have a long career as a rotational player who is not a paradigm shifter, but just stays in the league a long time by being like, oh, this is a great backup guard to have who can probably start a few games for you.
It's exactly where I'm at. This guy is a system guard. And that will translate to the NFL level where it's like, oh, you're not getting rid of him. Like, if he's in there for a week, you're going to forget that he played.
Yeah.
But he's also not going to be the guy you go with. He doesn't have, there's just not enough flash there. I like how I like that first step. I like how he stays low. He's a lunger, doesn't deliver violence with his hands. He needs to, there's just, it's a system guy. And that people don't know, maybe people don't know this about Georgia Tech. Like Brent Key, former offensive lineman at Georgia Tech, like that's his whole damn thing is finding dudes who can run, who are athletic, and just putting them in positions to look really good. And that's what it looks like again and again. I know that should be everyone's predication on offensive line. Like I get that that's the thing, but he is a Power 4 head coach whose entire life focus is making offensive linemen the focus of his team. And I mean, even Mario Cristobal, a former offensive lineman who believes in the line as the first and last and the most important of everything, doesn't love offensive linemen the same way that Brent Key does. Like Brent Key wants to be offensive line and he really can coach them up to consistently look good and cover up their deficiencies. I just didn't see enough. I didn't see anything remotely close to first round talent, and I think it would be a real stretch to get him in the second as well. I put a third on him, but like,
yeah, sure. I think people when doing draft evaluations go like, I like this guy. He's a first round, like take him in 20. Like people just have a really hard time doing valuations, which, folks, is kind of the whole thing. Like it's okay to like someone, but like you have to understand physical talent in relation to the position, positional value, and age, physical ability, and like health. So you have to take everything into account and say, all right, what is his present day value? What is his long-term upside? And what is the value of this position? And then you account for like not necessarily team need, but like league-wide need. Like everybody needs an offensive tackle. So the value of that position gets pushed up because it's hard to find good linemen. So like example, like let's just take this one. Like I like Gabe Jackas, and there's like a world where someone actually does take him at the end of the first round. I think that's too early. But like great physical talent in a weird edge class after a certain round or after the certain top tier. Mm-hmm. And you can talk yourself into it. I think it's more like second round and people go, oh, that's where he fits in. Dunker, I think Dunker is going to be like solid. I think people have fallen in love with the mullet. Yep. And I don't think 50, I think 58's far too soon for him. I have him as like a clear third round guy who's like a good guard tackle tweener that you probably want to play guard, and everyone's going to fall in love with him, but like actually won't be as good as the vibes suggest. Like that's kind of how I see him.
Rutledge is the guard that everyone thinks Dunker is. That's the thing. So you have to pick one or the other. It's not a fair thing to say because that's not how any of this works, but like everyone talks Jennings Dunker. Like if Jennings Dunker had an injury at the Senior Bowl, would anyone be watching the tape and be talking about Jennings Dunker in that way? No, he just wouldn't. He's got big personality. His name is Jennings Dunker, and he has a mullet, and he eats 17,000 calories a day.
Good for him, majestic man. I wish nothing but the best for him.
Yeah,
just not necessarily a prospect I think is as good as everyone wants to believe he is.
All right, let's go through some questions here, Jake. We're going to keep it tight, too.
First off, the Clemson tackle, he cannot slide to guard. He can
Blake
barely.
Miller.
Yeah, he's barely holding in there at tackle.
I'm not a Blake Miller fan. I'm not a fan of TJ Parker either as the edge for Clemson. It's my spidey sense says that the 49ers are really going to like TJ Parker because, he's so polished. Yeah, but I'm not saying you're polishing up a turd or anything like that. That's unfair. But like, what is he great at? What cool stuff does he do? He's Arden Key. You don't take Arden Key in the first round. I mean, someone did, but like you don't do that. This is how you end up with. It's like, oh well, we need to. No one goes into a draft thinking, how do we replace Cleve Farrell? That's what you're doing by taking T.J. Parker. You're just getting another Cleve Farrell. Oh, Cleve Farrell was good. No, he wasn't. He wasn't. He hasn't been good. He's never been good. He's getting by on the fact that he was the 4th or 5th overall pick way back in the day, and it's like, well, he can't be that bad. We can fix him. Yep. How many teams has he been on twice? Like he's a quality person. He understands the playbook. He's just not good. So that's what I fear T.J. Parker is. He doesn't have any traits that stand out.
Yeah. 3 more questions. One, will Red Murdoch, the Buffalo linebacker, be in the draft guide? I have not fully watched him yet, but yes, without question, I will find a way to get Red Murdoch in the draft guide. Number 2, can we put John Weeks at defensive end? Do not joke about such beautiful things.
I mean, you want to talk about setting an edge. What's more impenetrable than a fire hydrant? Like
when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, and it's just John Weeks looking at himself in the mirror.
Just imagine these tackles trying to move a fire hydrant. You got to get way too low, and then you're gonna just explode your shin. It's just gonna be bleeding. It's gonna be disgusting. I do think that I'm curious as to what Weeks thinks. Someone who's never talked to Weeks, almost too intimidating. He's the pretty girl at the bar. I'm like, I can't get close to him. Like it's not for me. I've always seen him just eating in the corner. Every time I've ever seen John Weeks, he's just eating in the corner.
No.
But I do wonder what he thinks about the Niners punter move. Not going with Morstead. Morstead's out and the Pittsburgh guy is in. Who, by the way, big boot. Not very consistent, but big boot. So okay, let's keep it going there.
One final question, sort of a big one. Is there a team building philosophy that you guys believe in? It's a big picture question.
I don't think I've ever considered the question.
Yeah, I think it's tough because you can have an idea in theory of like, oh, you value certain positions and you think you should build around it. I think it's like if you were to theoretically take over a team, the reality is you would have certain assets. You'd say, oh, this is a key part of our team. Mm-hmm. We need to surround that element of our team with talent. If it's the offensive line, you say, okay, now we can add a quarterback and we can add other pieces around it. I think you take what is on the right timeline of age and talent, and you try and build something that you can rely on both sides of the ball. You find something that says, all right, this is our identity as a group. And that's a little coach speaky, even for myself. But, you have to identify. It's kind of how I look at, if I'm looking at a prospect, what is the thing they're great at? What is the thing I can hold on to and be like, I love this. Like, this is great. I think you have to do that a little bit on both sides of the ball. And if you don't have that, if you're a team like the Jets that's just starting from ground zero, you say, Arvell Reese is an outrageous talent. I don't know what he is. We're going to take the outrageous talent that can play edge in some respect and figure the rest out. So take the outrageous talent, ideally at a position of extreme value, when in doubt, and when you don't have those pieces, you can build around. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's a good question.
I'll throw 2 things that I firmly believe. I'm not sure they're overarching team-building philosophies, but I do believe that football is still won in the trenches. I do believe that you can get by with being cheap at certain positions in the trenches, don't get me wrong. But I do think, how about this? It's very, very hard to be a bad football team if you have a great offensive line. And it's very, very hard to be a bad defense if you have a great defensive line.
I agree.
There's some schools of thought where you flip it. Like you have a great secondary, you can get by with shitty defensive line. I think that it's still closer to the ball, more important. I believe in inside out. And to that same effect, I am now a firm believer. We've spent the last 15 years since I've covered the NFL professionally talking about maximizing the rookie quarterback window. That's bullshit. It's bullshit, especially in this day and age of the salary cap. You are trying to maximize your rookie wide receiver contract windows. That's what I believe. That when you have great receivers who are cheap, that ain't lasting forever, much like it wouldn't with quarterback. But that's what you have to take advantage of. And my case in point on this would be Kansas City. My case in point in this would be Cincinnati. Miami, even to a certain degree. Like you had, and there's always a give and a take. Nothing is empirical. We're not talking like Siths here, but like I do think that with the way that wide receiver is being produced at the college level, that you should prioritize getting the very few good offensive linemen and the very few useful 3-down defensive linemen, both interior and perimeter. Prioritize those guys in drafts, build in the trenches, and then, obviously there's a fall off in talent between a first-round wide receiver and a seventh round, but there's so many wide receivers, and it's such a difficult position to get a read on at the college level that you really need to maximize your cheap young wide receivers more than you need to maximize, Brock Purdy or Jalen Hurts or whomever. Like you got to win. You got to win a Super Bowl before they get expensive. No, you got to win a Super Bowl before your receivers get expensive because there's more of them. They cost more relative than what a quarterback would cost, and they're mercurial to say the least. Yeah. So that's kind of a philosophy.
One last thought before we get out of here: get defensive ends who can play like defensive end, and can actually set an edge. I know it's not what the league has gone to. It's gone to springy little bendy guys, but
might be coming back around, baby. I mean, Seattle. Yeah, Seattle knows. Now, not every team is going to be Seattle. I think a lot of teams are going to try. A lot of teams don't know how to win, so they copy what the last team that won did, thinking it's a shortcut to victory.
And then they do it wrong and go, "Oh, well, that didn't work."
Yeah, because they don't know how to show their work. They're vibe coding.
No one can coach like McDonald's. Anyway,
no one can.
I think that'll do it for us, folks.
That sounds good. I think we're going to be talking tomorrow night, and hopefully we'll have Trent Williams' resolution by then. By the way, just want to make sure that everybody knows. This is the final call. This is the final call. If you want to become a Seek Help, you're getting one of these bad boys. Anyone who's currently scrolling on the bottom, I'm coming for you in the next 24 hours to figure out where I can send a couple. I'm gonna give you a couple of these. If you want to get in before that deadline of like the next 24 hours, you can. You can become a Seek Help, and I'm going to send you some stickers. And then I got to look into the hat situation. I've done it once. I'll do it again.
Eventually, we will have the hats.
And then there will be a draft guide and other things like that. But more importantly, merch.
Hey now.
Merch. And Dieter and Hutch. What should the web domain be? Should it be DieterandHutch.com or should it be DieterandHutch.ai so we can sell it for like $1 billion?
Dieter.Hutch at I'm too tired to make a joke. All right.
Dieter.Hutch at webskate.com. All right. We'll talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.